they are now shifting from newspapers to television.
So we can actually show you an appendix on this. This shift in companies which are advertising on newspapers and print, the chain is almost the same. Like some of the sectors have moved to some of the sectors have moved to
print media and
this one. Some sectors have moved to print to TV, and some there has been shift from TV to print also. And for the numbers of readers per copy, it's actually a good thing that the number of readers per copy is decreasing, because that means that if there are 12 people reading one newspaper, so basically that cuts your subscription cost, right? Subscription revenue. So if the number of readers per copy is actually falling, that's a good trend for Hindi and vernacular print. So that is why we said that's a positive sign.
So is the number of readers different from the number of copies being sold?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And what is the growth in the number of copies being sold?
So the
volume growth. If you say it's a 15% revenue growth, can you break it up in pricing and volume?
Circulation revenue.
Sir, advertisement revenues growing at approximately 10.8%, and we believe that circulation will grow with around 5%. So that is.
The circulation revenue that represents the subscription revenue has been growing at around 11%. So this is the revenue that comes from the subscription, or that is the circulation revenue.
So this is what is the historic trend, but going forward, according to various reports, the circulation.
No, just you can tell if you have it or not. This 11% growth in subscription revenues will also comprise of an increase in the prices also. So if you're selling a 3 rupees newspaper, you're selling it 3 rupees 30% next year, so that's a 8%. So do you have any data on how much is the volume expansion? If you're printing 1,000 newspapers a day, are you doing 1,100 newspapers the next year? That's what I want to know.
So basically, if you look at the last year, what happened was that they were not able to actually increase their yields because the economy was depressed. So advertisers did not support, increasing yields. So last year it was basically based on volume expansion. But this year they've actually implemented rate hikes, so that would come in later. But if we see what is the growth in yields and volume, we do not have an exact data because that's not disclosed anywhere. Neither could we find it in the call transcripts.
I have one question on this rise in advertising revenue, which has been driving the top line and in terms of profits of the company. Is it due to higher, over the last couple of years, is it mostly due to higher ad rates or higher inventory utilization?
It's a combination of both. So basically what Javelin is, Dainik Javelin, which is the flagship brand of Javelin Prakashan, is basically one of the top leaders in all of its markets. So what happens is if you're at the first and second position, you're able to get a chunk of the advertising. So what this company has done, it hasn't actually seen a fall in its volume. So last year it would be primarily because of the volume, and before that it's a combination of both these.
So also JPL is into OOH business segment. According to Union Government circular, it was like on television and radio they have to pay a service tax of around 12%. But from other mediums like newspapers and OOH, they do not need to pay that service tax. They were exempted from that. So because of that, advertisers are mostly shifting from TV to newspaper and OOH to get that exemption.
But also the Broadcasting Committee of India has come up with a recommendation that no TV channel can broadcast more than 12 minutes of advertisement during 1 hour of broadcast. So the companies are cutting down over there because they do not have scope to go beyond 12 minutes. So all those advertisements are shifting to newspapers. So therefore we see a significant uptrend in the advertisement revenues going forward.
Therefore, along with the increase in prices of the advertisements due to GDP increase, there is an increase in volume also for the advertisements.
But as you said, that the largest sector has been education.
It used to be.
In terms of ad budgets. Okay, it used to be, this year it's also, but mostly education. Now that does not clearly tell you a lot about rural purchasing power and so on.
But
does it? The argument about rural purchasing power translating into this, if it were to be FMCG companies or whatever else, why should education be a large sector? And why has it come down, say, last year?
if you look at the auto sector, because of the slowdown in the economy, in the cities, the automakers are not able to sell more cars. So they have shifted their focus to the rural areas because of the good monsoon and the good earnings in the rural markets. So there's more advertisements in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So we saw the increase of auto sector in these cities.
And
my question is different. I am not asking why should education be a leading sector?
So the education is a leading sector primarily because there are a lot of government schools and all ads come in the top daily. So the government actually books a lot of ad space for if you have your CAT exam, all your exam, you have one for quarter page ads for all of these. So government spend on education is pretty high. So it's not completely driven by private only. But if you look at auto sector, that is primarily driven by private advertising. So education has traditionally been strong because you have a lot of government ad coming in and which is more or less fixed. It doesn't fluctuate that much.
And also, if we see in case of education, the charges in case of television ads, they are more as compared to print media ads. So, and normally we see education institute giving a full page advertisement or 2-page advertisements. So, in this way, they save a cost also, and newspaper reaches to the masses. Therefore, this is a good medium to do.
And also, education sector was not very sensitive to the GDP growth rate, so they have been consistently giving their advertisements.
Well, with growth in digitization, advertisements, the trend is shifting towards digitization, we all know that. But is this not a threat to the example?
So we have thought of this in a way that there is no revenue generation model in the newspaper content selling in the digital media. If you look at developed countries, there's a model developed, but in country like India, it's not yet developed. So it might not be a very big threat in the short term, but in the long term it might be a threat. But Jagran has a good presence in the online, in the web area also. It's
In fact, Jagran is the leading social. In fact, has a leading social media presence. It is nearly followed by around 4 lakh unique visitors, and as compared to TOI and Hindustan Times, etc. Jagran is the leader in terms of social presence. So
Also, it has Jagran.com, which is the country's number one Hindi news site, and Jagran.com, which is the country's number one education website. So Jagran is already presented to digital. They are focusing on that segment. They are not leaving that segment. But if you also see the internet and broadband penetration in India, that is very limited as of now, as compared to other countries, even comparing to emerging countries. So therefore, it is not a threat in the near future.
they are also in types with the third-party application providers to provide the newspaper reading service on the go.
also they have Android applications, iPhone applications, and also they have a good presence on social media. On FB, they have 15 lakh views.
Despite the consistent sales growth, what we see is that the bottom line, which is the EPS growth, has been very volatile. Any specific reason for that?
So in the recent past, they have made 2 acquisitions with Nai Duniya and Midday, and for those are expected to break even in the years for financial year 14 and 15. So those have been the reasons that have for the recent fluctuations with the bottom line. But we expect that since this was a new sector, that Midday is a afternoon tablet that they ventured into, and now that has been picking up revenues in their captive markets. Earlier these were loss-making units, so we expect that the trend should smoothen and it would be an upward trend going forward.
And sir, as per the company transcripts, they expect these companies to break even going forward in FY 2015 and 14. And they had a loss of around 50 crore in the past financial year. So that is the reason.
So one final question is Nai Duniya acquisition. What is the policy of amortizing the goodwill that is lying on the balance sheet?
So the policy for amortization, what we could understand is basically. Should we continue?
Sure. Thank you so much, Team Alan Bonmoyer. That was quite an action-filled start to the challenge. You can take a seat in the same hall. Meanwhile, the judges will. So next up, we have the next team waiting for us, which is the Henry David Thoreau team. I wish you guys all the best. Give your best shot. Over to you. Would you like to use the microphone or? No.
Team Henry David Thoreau wishes you all a very good morning. Today we present to you the coverage of Jagran Prakashan Limited with a buy rating. The target price of 112 against the current market price of 90.35 presents an upside potential of 24% to the investors with a forward PE of 13.4. Let's now have a quick snapshot of the company. Moving on to the geographical presence, Dainik Jagran, the flagship brand of the company, has been present in most of the northern states of India and has been in the top 3 positions. It covers about 70% population of the Hindi belt. The company also has footprint in out-of-home advertising, mobile value-added services and research and consulting. Let's start with the top line story. Print industry forms 28% of the total media industry revenues with a size of 240 billion and is expected to reach to 340 billion by 2070. JPL's operating revenues have registered a growth of 15% over the past 5 years owing to both organic and inorganic expansion. The company relied mainly on advertisements due to increased ad spends in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. But now other businesses are witnessing more than historical growth rates due to increased outdoor activities and digital advertisements. The company's revenues have consistently surpassed industry revenues over the past 5 years.
The print industry basically derives its revenue from advertisement and circulation of its publication. In FY12, close to 46% of the revenues were consumed by print media. The reasons can be attributed to high degree of localization, efficiency in targeting decision makers, and broad-based coverage. Jagran's revenue has always been ahead of industry growth rates. Owing to its fatter base, we expect the revenues to grow further to the levels shown. In support, we would like to cite following reasons. The graph before you clearly shows the shift of ad spends from English media towards the regional media further. With growing leadership of regional print, we see that English ad rates have dropped from 9 times to 6 times of that of regional print. Though digital media poses a continued threat on the industry revenues, but we see that print remains a preferred medium in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, where we expect higher ad spends. The ad circulation mix also seems to favor the growth in ad revenues. The diversified clientele of print industry also keeps the variability of its income immune to the industry-specific swings, where we expect higher ad spends. The TRAI regulations limiting broadcasters to 12 minutes of commercials per hour will also lead to advertisers to shift towards print media further. Upcoming general elections also seems to favor more ad revenues. Coming down to circulation revenues, owing to inorganic and organic expansions, Jagran's revenues have grown at a CAGR of 11.5% in the past. We expect the revenues to grow to these levels as shown. The reasons can be attributed to as follows. Out of the total literate Indian population, there is just a 44% who do not read newspapers. The state-wise analysis shows that top 6 out of top 10 states lie under JPL's coverage. Looking at the global data also, we see India lags far behind in terms of the cover prices charged, hence an upside potential. The acquisition of loss-making Nai Duniya and Midday has been impacting JPL's revenue for the last 2 years, but introduction of these new publications and management takeover of marketing of Midday has actually led to a good thrust in revenues, as well as it has reported EBITDA profits. Therefore, we expect these publications to remain in high growth phase for the coming years. Coming down to other segments, we expect the revenues to grow as shown. The event management business, which expected a dip last year, is expected to grow further with assignments coming from corporates. The digital revenues, owing to the renewed focus of management towards digital front, we are actually bullish on digital revenues. Thus, leading to a total revenue of 17.5 billion and 19.8 billion with a growth rate of 6.3% and 13.3% respectively.
What has been the efficiency driver for GPL? Is it the stringent cost-cutting measures? Well, let's have a look at it. Based on analysis using waterfall model, present and estimated future costs are shown as a percentage of sales. Raw material costs grew only by 1.6% last year, in spite of rise in newsprint costs by 4%. Reasons: reduction in imported newsprint consumption and better adequate utilization. Well, quarterly analysis shows some trend of moderation. We expect this to continue in future. Employee costs have risen because of increase in dearness allowance and annual increments due to inflationary conditions. With significant reduction in headcount, we expect this to reduce marginally in future. Other costs have risen because of few extraordinary items. We expect this to moderate in future. Our selling, general and administration costs, we expect this to reduce marginally due to takeover of middays marketing management and nationalization of advertisement programs. All this results to an EBITDA margin of 21.4% by FY15 as compared to 18.7% currently. GPL CPS has been constantly on a rising trend with currently Rs 7.68. It has witnessed a sharp rise in ROE to 30% due to higher PAT margin and benefit of leverage. With improvement in asset turnover, it can rise even further. So are we too bullish about JPL? Well, let's check out. In comparison with its peers, HT Media, DD Corp, HT Media Ventures, it has highest ROE with 30%. Even ROA matches in line with them. Operating profit margin highest at 26%, whereas EV by EBITDA is in line with its peers, and so is its dividend yield. With constant high dividend per share of Rs 3.5, JPL even announced a dividend payout or buyback of 5 million shares at Rs 95 per share, with interim dividend of Rs 1 per share paid already this fiscal year. In comparison with its counterparts, JPL has low dependence on ad revenues. Based on ROE, EBITDA, and sales, JPL lies on a different planet altogether. In comparison with its competitors, JPL's corporate governance practices were found to be in line with ongoing regulation, and based on our analysis, it ranked second for its CSR activities. When compared globally, advertisement industry is attractive in India with high ROE, EBITDA, and sales growth.
This analysis brings us to the obvious question: is this script really undervalued? We valued the company using the 3 stages discounted cash flow and relative valuation methods. The 3 stages in the DCF are the 2 years analytical stage, the 4 years convergence stage, and the perpetual growth rate of 3%. Other key assumptions include a CAPM computed cost of equity of 10.6% with an adjusted beta of 0.66 and debt equity of 13:87. This leads us to a target price of ₹112. For relative valuation, we created a football field using the DCF, the 52-week high and low, and other trading multiples such as the PE, PE/BB, EV by sales, and EV by EBITDA. Our target price is well inside the price bands for each of these multiples.